his like little cap that he had on was the Spider-Man one.
Oh, there you go.
So it was just fitting, given his name and such. Yeah, so Oliver's going to be turning 10. Summer, she turns 9 this summer. So yeah, it's very, very close.
And what about Parker? How old's Parker?
He's 6, will be 7 in March.
Okay, so he's 2 years older than Arlo. Arlo will be 6, or a year older, pardon me. Arlo will be 6 in March.
And so Miss Ava will be 5 in September.
You have 3?
I do.
Okay, that's, you know what? That's amazing. That's awesome. I couldn't do it. I remember before we had kids, Jade and I were like, yeah, you know what? 5 kids. We want 5 kids. I have 4 siblings myself.
Yeah.
Jade only has 1, and so we wanted a big family. And then after our youngest, we're like, yeah, you know what? We're good. Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, Asha, she's from 4. I also have just the one, this sister, and she wanted to have 4. I would have been fine with 2 because I came from 2.
Yeah.
So after Parker, I was very much set on being done, and obviously that was not the case.
You met in the middle.
Yeah, and she's a spitfire compared to the other 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice.
Wouldn't have it any other way. How's it like having 2 boys?
It's good. Yeah, I mean, it's.
Are they into all the stuff that you're into?
Oh, for sure. Like Oliver's reading comics, and you know, I recently got back into. Thank God I'm married, because I wouldn't be able to find a wife if I did this without it. But,
yeah, I think the same way too.
But I recently got back into collecting figurines as well, so obviously the boys are into that too.
Like the figurines, or like the 375?
No, not the 3.75, like the 6-inch Marvel Legends. So I've been collecting those, and so obviously they're in it. And I've got my Clofus here that I've set up with my figures, and so they'll come in when I'm on calls or working and just start playing with them. But it's fine. Like I don't mind having 2 boys. If anything, I often say that I would be more of a nervous Nelly with girls, just because you'd always be worrying about their well-being, and obviously when they're older, more so when they're older. But it's good. It's a louder house, but it's fine.
Summer's going to be 9, and already because we had obviously the at-home learning, so when you're listening in on a class and the boys start talking, you can see the eyes light up and the face go flush, because she's starting to like the goofballs in the class.
Yeah,
so that's terrifying.
Yep. Well, you're only 7 years away from high school, right? So
yeah, it's closer than it needs to be.
Best of luck to you, sir.
When you hear Harry did this or Riker did that, and you're, oh Christ. It's like, what happened to, can I play with My Little Ponies a little bit longer?
Let's just watch Strawberry Shortcake one more time.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
I'm having a beer. I notice you're having water. I'm having a beer tonight.
It's me. Water. Stay hydrated however you can.
I'm drowning my sorrows from that Titans loss. So.
No, so this was the first year with 18 weeks, right? So 17 games.
You know what's funny is I noticed that in week 18.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, because normally it's 13-3 or 12-4.
Yeah.
8-8, whatever, and 6-10. And then this year I was like, oh, Tennessee, they're first overall with a 12-5 record. I'm like, oh, that's odd. And then I completely missed that. Mind you, I'm a fair weather fan when it comes to football. Mm-hmm. If Tennessee's doing well, I'll watch and I'll always cheer for them. But yeah, I didn't know that it was there was an extra game added. What was the trade-off? Do you know?
No, I think they just said it. The only reason I figured out was because I'm trying to do the math on, okay, so Super Bowl's what week? Go back
13th. Yeah.
And they go back, I'm like, well, that just seems late. Is there an extra week off in between, or are they doing longer playoffs? But it's no, I guess they just More
Yeah,
money.
I think the Super Bowl is 1 week later than what it typically is. I always seem to remember it being like that first weekend or that first Sunday of February, but it seems now that it's the second Sunday.
Yeah, it used to roughly be around when my birthday was. I'm 1st of February, so I always remember. So this is first weekend is the 6th, so go back 5 days. Okay, well then that's what my birthday is.
Oh, your birthday's coming up, buddy.
Yeah,
Nice.
big 3-6.
Any
3-6 Mafia.
crazy COVID plans for your birthday?
Yeah,
I'm gonna stay in.
stay in. You can't go anywhere. And if I went most places, you can't eat.
I might celebrate my birthday in the other room this year.
Yeah, upstairs.
Yeah, upstairs. That's right.
Yeah, that's right. I was what was I doing? I was I was picking up dinner, and I come home, and the little one's like, Dad, we did your birthday card. And all here's, hey, but that was supposed to be a secret. And the wife's just like, he gets a birthday card everywhere, so not like he wasn't expecting one.
Yeah. You're not necessarily ruining everything.
Yeah,
It's
keep a
all
secret,
good.
but let me tell you all about it.
Yeah.
So, how did you survive at home learning?
I think this
So the young guy's
time
going
ar-
to be is turning 6, so he had the kindergarten.
so he's in senior kindergarten this year.
Yeah.
They were okay. Like Oliver being in grade 4 and 3 last year, he was pretty self-sufficient. Like we have a nice desk set up for him in his room, and knows how to turn on the computer and how to unmute himself, and that's all good. So I think from his perspective, it was fine. I think the challenging part was with Arlo. And like, God bless teachers that are trying to manage a class of 20 plus kids electronically over a computer with them all screaming, because I would flip my lid within the first 3 minutes. But it was a bit of a challenge with Arlo, mainly because they're both very social kids, and they wanted to be at school with their friends, as most kids, I'm sure, if not all kids, wanted to be. But he had to be pushed to log in and pay attention for the full hour, and so with that, it was a bit of a challenge. So I'm hoping that it's not gonna they're not gonna be at home again this year, at least for the rest of the year. I'm thinking it won't be as bad. I think once the warmer weather starts to come around, it won't be it'll be less likely. But yeah, yourself?
Yeah, it's that darn play-based learning in kindergarten that makes it just so impossible to keep a kid just stationary for however long, the hour or the hour and a half, and then they have rest time and all that stuff.
And staring at the computer, like at a laptop for that hour, and for Arlo, it's twice a day, an hour each time. So it's not like it's the full day, but there's no way he could do the full day, because even those 2 hours per day was a bit of a challenge for him. Because at least when he's physically at school, he's in a room, he's got distractions, he's got crafts, he's got tables, things that he can move around and go to and presumably keep him occupied. Whereas here it's like, no, you got to be laser focused into the 13-inch screen that's in front of you.
I just enjoyed them going there and then just like running around and just exhausting themselves and coming home and then just KO'd when it's come time to bed.
Yeah, no doubt. That's the thing with us too, right? It's like and lately it's been so cold here in Ottawa that you can't really last too long outside, whereas at school, like they're going outside for their recesses and lunches and whatnot. So yeah, to your point,
I saw
bit challenging.
I saw you doing the ODR on your
Instagram.
How's that working out? I guess
first year it's
beautiful with the cold.
Amazing. It was my first rodeo doing it, and super easy, like a lot easier than I thought. Like I had Jade help me with positioning the planks when I was attaching the mending plates to them and whatnot, and with the tarp and putting the clamps on the tarp as we were filling. But aside from that, it was super easy, and it's 24 by 16. There is a bit of a slope, so we had some landscaping done in the fall just before the winter hit, and we wanted to grade our lawn in the backyard, and for the most part it is. But I wanted to buy the planks of wood without having to cut them. So I bought 2-inch by 10 by 8, and so I have 3 length and then 2 width, and it went really well. Bit of a slope, as I said, but it's a good surface for the boys. It doesn't need to be Olympic size or anything. I was, if anything, I was saying to Jade, when we go on skating, it's like just as you start to get going as an adult, you got to stop. But for the boys, it's fine. And we've been doing our best to get out there, even if it's for like 20 minutes, just to do something, keep yourselves occupied. So
yeah, plus you put all that effort in.
Yeah, I got my first water bill since I filled it, and thank God it's only once a year. Man, oh man.
Yeah, we did that. Not this year. I think it was last year and the year before, and it was one of those spur of the moments after snow had already been on the ground. So it was just shovel a flat surface and hope for the best. And like ours, there's a storm sewer just adjacent to our lot, so everything just funnels that way. So everything slopes. So when the kids were learning to skate, the minute they put a foot on ice, they're heading towards. So they can never get their bearings on it. So when we set up Parker for skating lessons last year before he started his hockey, I thought he was never going to be able to do it. But once you get to like arena grade flat ice, it was like a fish to water.
Well, and it's amazing how quickly kids adapt to it, right?
Yeah.
Like we have for Arlo, it was his first time skating, and we started him off with a chair. And the first 3 or 4 times he was using the chair when he was skating around, and now he's not, and he's just moving around, and each and every time he gets incrementally better. But to your point, like it just they do catch on pretty quick. I mean, actually, I'd say the highlight of the whole ODR experience thus far has been my homemade Zamboni that I
I saw that. I saw that. I thought that was amazing.
Yeah.
There's an auto company that has something I saw similar, which I saw after yours. I'm like, oh, almost as if they ripped off your idea.
The only thing I want to do different with mine, though, is I want to take off the towels, because I have zip ties attached to the towels. I want to take that off, and I want to get remember those old brooms you'd see the janitors use at high school, like along the floor, and it was like the rectangle cloth. I want to get one of those and have that wrapped around the PVC pipe instead of the towels. And last time I did resurface the ice, so it was a bit too cold, and with the towels being wet, it was touching the dry part of the ice, and so it was snapping off, and then water was going everywhere. It was
instant freeze.
Awful. It was awful.
It's true. I don't think I've seen brooms like that outside of like high school or something.
I don't know. Like I was.
They are ancient.
It's they're right up there with like the projector screen.
Yeah. Yeah, wheel those out, or the VHS on the cart with the tube TV that they roll in on.
That's right. And
indoor recesses.
Do you remember the VHS player was just like, it was like a brick. It was massive.
Yeah, and it was some American brand that you've never heard of. It was never like a Sony or a JVC.
Oh, my grade 8 French teacher, Madame Cook, used to roll around this cart, and on that cart she had the tube TV, she had the VCR, she had the projector screen, and that was like her thing. And it was you were either learning about Tutankhamun in French or the Abominable Snowman, and that was like what we were learning. How much have I retained? Nothing.
But you remember that?
I remember the cart. I remember the cart.
Yeah, I saw that was a meme that was popping around not too long ago. It was just like when you saw this in the classroom after you came in for recess, it was going to be a good day.
Oh yeah. You do nothing. You just watch a movie or whatnot.
Have you seen the Ghostbusters Afterlife yet?
No. Is it?
It's legit. It has a scene where that's what it is. He rolls in. Paul Rudd's character rolls in the TV with the VHS, and like it's 2021.
So is it still on? Like, is it still for rent, or is it viewable now for free?
Oh yeah, it's on.
Sound like a cheapskate asking that question.
Yeah, I've seen the ads everywhere, so I think it's probably still the VOD.
Yeah, I do want to watch it. I did watch Mortal Kombat recently, which was okay. I didn't finish it. I think I have about 25 minutes left. It was all right. Did you see the new Mortal Kombat?
I have. That's what I was talking to a buddy about it afterwards. Like, it's literally a movie about a tournament where there's no tournament.
That's right. That's right. It's the longest prelude to a tournament I've ever.
Like, say what you want about the originals. At least they had the tournament in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway. It's hard. I don't understand why it's so hard to adapt a video game franchise. Like, they constantly are having the difficulties getting something that is tolerable for the fan base. Like, the closest I would say I found was, I think, the first Resident Evil I was able to tolerate. But after that,
it wasn't Bob Haskins' Super Mario Brothers?
No, I have watched that again. Because Parker loves Mario ever since he got the Lego Mario kits. So I threw that on for him. And, bless his heart, he watched the whole thing. But I remember seeing that as a kid, like, excited for it, and then not knowing what I was watching while I was in the theater.
It was much harder, though. Like, if you think to that first Mortal Kombat movie before the MCU was even a thing, even, there was mild success with, like, the first Batman. So it was a lot harder to get the audience on board, to your point, more tolerable. And you would think now it would be so much easier to put out there a concept that would be accepted by the masses. Like, Mortal Kombat shouldn't have had a hard time putting out a movie with a tournament, given, like, the success of, the MCU, and then, like, the mild or at least controversial success of the DC movies and all the other adaptations that you've seen that are comic book related. You'd think that for video game properties it would be not necessarily easier, but I think just a bit more widely accepted, or at least, to your point, tolerated.
I guess it comes to the argument, and I've had this argument recently about, because we're looking at the future of Marvel with, like, Iron Man's gone, Captain America's gone, at least those iterations that everybody's loved and are now used to. Yeah, expect. So we're looking at how Marvel now is just jumping into all these new things and trying to establish again, versus how DC was just like, you know what, who Batman is, who this person is, let's just go with it. I think with this Mortal Kombat movie spent the entire time building the history and the philosophy and the backstory and all this stuff of the mythology of what Mortal Kombat is for Joe nobody who knows any of this, versus just catering to the fans who are the ones that are going to see it, which I think is another reason why it's so difficult to make something that's more than just tolerable, but rather enjoyable.
Yeah, I don't think you need to worry so much about. I don't think you need to worry so much about spending an obscene amount of time on the backstory of the characters, and I would say even Mortal Kombat included. Like, you can do quick hits and then get to the tournament, which they obviously didn't. But I think DC's approach, I mean, they just had bad writing, bad directing. There was obviously a bunch of other mistakes, but I agree in that, everybody knows who Batman is, Superman, Flash, maybe not Flash so much, or maybe because of the TV show, that you don't need to spend all that time talking about the origins, and even Spider-Man, like, you think about the most recent trilogy, they never did an origin story for Tom Holland and that Spider-Man, because we've had Spider-Mans before. Everybody should know the mythos of Spider-Man and where he came from, and not bleed out half of a movie or three quarters of a movie talking about it. Like, you don't need to.
I heard someone say recently that the 3 Homecoming and Far From Home and No Way Home movies were the origin story of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. Because now that
I can see that,
how it ends, he's going on to, like, this whole new venture. That's his origin story. Now he's Spider-Man rather than like a Spiderling or whatever.
No, yeah, because like if you think about it, at the end of that, wait, spoilers? Do we do like just spoilers?
It's like the fourth highest grossing movie of all time now.
I
So
know.
who hasn't seen it?
But yeah, I love that because at the end of No Way Home, it was okay. Yeah, he's now that mature Peter. The older, the wiser, the the Peter that's accepted his life or what he needs to do and move on and move forward with it. So yeah, like I think it's a nice little bow to the overall arching origin story that is for Spider-Man. And I think if there's any other iterations with Spider-Man, then you can kind of now really jump into Venom and like the Sinister Six and all these other offshoot characters in the Spider-Verse or the multiverse. I'm excited to see what's going to come. I hope that he stays on for a little bit longer, if I'm being honest. I hope it's not the last of Tom Holland that we've seen.
So given how it ends, do you think the only way for them not to like ruin that ending is to have basically him in a whole new cast going forward?
Say that again.
So again, fuck everyone else who hasn't seen it. So when after the spell, right, how everyone forgets, and he basically he's promised MJ that he was going to go reminder of the life, but he doesn't, right? Yep. Ned and her are supposed to go off to MIT. So not to basically squash that ending, and he's realizing he's got to sacrifice them in order to, keep them safe. You do not go with a Spider-Man 4 with him, but they're not back in it.
Yeah, I could see that happening, but I think the bigger challenge, and story aside, but talking more about the studio's perspective, it's going to be harder to
screwing everything.
It's going to be harder for them to keep him than it would be. What was their name? Zendaya and Zendaya and whoever. Ned. Let's call him Ned.
Yeah,
it'd be easier to keep him than it would be Tom Holland. But I think to your point, yeah, why not just go in a whole new direction and start it up? I think for me, I'm just really excited to see how this how this multiverse thing plays out with the overall MCU moving forward. I think there's like limitless possibilities now, and I think they finally solved for how they will reintroduce Iron Man and reintroduce Captain America and reintroduce Hawkeye and perhaps Thor after his contract's over with Chris Hemsworth. Like, I think they now have a means to say, look, this is the new Thor. This is the Thor of, the Ultimate Universe, or, Earth 39. And I think Doctor Strange 2 is really gonna, I think, open some doors into a much more viable option for the characters moving forward.
Yeah. I was wondering too if maybe they would do kind of what the CW's or the Arrowverse crisis, and kind of merge all the Earths into like an Earth Prime, and that's where you would get like the new versions of these characters.
Well, that would be like Secret Wars, right? So the Secret Wars, they are doing it. So like the original, like the 80s Secret Wars was the Beyonder took all the heroes and the villains and put them on this Earth. But then in, I think, 2015, Jonathan Hickman wrote about, and there was a huge lead up to this story, like multi-year lead up to this story, but it was Secret Wars, where it was all these Earths that were coming and forming one Earth. So, a section of Earth 616 combined with the section of the Ultimate Earth combined with the section of various Earths combining to create one. So that's kind of like Earth Prime, I guess, from DC's perspective. So
that's how Miles came to be, right?
That's right. Yeah. So there was Ultimate Fallout or Ultimate Extinction, which then led to the Ultimate Earth merging in with the 616, and I think it kind of culminated with the Secret War storyline that Hickman wrote. So yeah, I think there's many opportunities. I can't remember if the Secret Wars for the MCUs is going to be a TV show, or if it's
Yeah,
going to
it's
be a
Disney
movie.
Plus.
That's perfect. I think that's perfect. That's the story that you need. You can't solve.
Yeah, it's
or
very
you can't
episodic.
100%. You can't say that. You can't deliver that story in just a 2-hour or 2.5-hour film. You need to maybe even do 2-3 seasons worth. I don't know.
I was gonna say, because my problem with Disney Plus shows right now is that you have like one episode that's 40 minutes, one episode that's like 20 minutes, next one's like an hour and a half. They really chop them up weird.
What did you think of Hawkeye?
I enjoyed it. I was surprised.
Yeah.
It was kind of like WandaVision, and I think I said this before to someone that I think going to all these shows, the two I was least interested in was WandaVision, and Hawkeye was definitely dead last, and they ended up being like two of my favorite ones.
Yeah. And how much of Kingpin's appearance added to you liking that show? Was that an important piece of making you enjoy that show more?
No, I like that he's back. I like it. It's D'Onofrio. I would like to be he would have been in it a bit more.
Yeah, I think they're coming back.
That teaser ending was the gunshot off screen.
Yeah,
the classic.
I don't think that's. I mean, it's the Kingpin. And part of the reason, I mean, they're not going to reintroduce him for 3 episodes or however many episodes he was in just to kill him off.
Yeah, I don't understand what they were trying to accomplish there.
And then in that, because it happened in the comics. Echo shot him in the comics.
Yeah,
so
then he's
they tried to replicate it, I guess. But I mean, if you're watching that show, if you're the casual fan who's never read comics and doesn't really know the backstory of Kingpin, and you're watching that episode, you're like, okay, so this guy just got slammed through a brick wall into a store with a car, and he got up and still fought and brushed it off like it was not an issue at all. Yeah. So do you think he's really going to die from a bullet wound? And so that's why I think there's more to come for the Kingpin, which I hope. Like, he's one of my favorite villains in Marvel. And it's just like the perfect casting too. Like, I can't think of another actor that would play that role any better than Vincent would.
No, and I was iffy on it when I first heard it, because I was thinking the guy from Law and Order, or the soft brother from The Breakup, or that farmer in Men in Black.
That's right. Yeah.
But yeah, I loved how he played it, and he's not played it as like this big time gangster, but just like a guy who,
soft but deadly.
Yeah, he has some sort of, like, due to his upbringing, or maybe he even has some sort of mental illness that was never properly handled, but he can just go off on you.
So I was kind of in the same boat where I was like, okay, like, it's walking into that Daredevil show. I was like, okay, how are you going to visualize Kingpin when he's supposed to be this hulking brute of a man? And when Vincent first came on the screen in the Daredevil show, I was like, okay, yeah, he's big, but how do you make him bigger? So I was a bit weary about, him as that character and playing that character. But then there was that episode in the Daredevil first season where he started slamming the guy's head against the car door. I was like, okay, I'm in. Like, this is the Kingpin. And
even just a bit before that too, it was like he was a character that you weren't allowed to say his name. You say his name, and like, that's like the cardinal sin. Like, that one guy said, like, oh, who's this working for? He's like, Fisk, and then he killed himself because he said his name out loud.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Like, that's how you make a character bigger without making him physically bigger.
Which you saw Clint kind of do that a few times in the Hawkeye show too, right? He was like, you don't want to, what do you say? Not like the big guy, but was it the big guy? However, whatever it was, he was referring to him not by his name. So that's a good point. Yeah.
I did see people online who were saying, like, well, this is a guy who went up against Thanos and he's just scared of this mobster. I'm like, well,
that's true. That's the thing, though. It's just like the comic books. You got to take everything. You can't add realism to these stories with arguments like that when you're watching comic book characters. And that's what pisses me off is like, well, he fought Thanos, but why can't he? Why is he scared of like you almost got to like silo these stories. Like there's obviously an overarching connecting story between all the movies, but you have to silo each of the fights and each of the instances and each of the times that they meet up and whatnot, and treat it as that. I was reading the new She-Hulk volume that came out this week, and the first issue, and it was about her getting like back on her feet and starting her life over because she had previously like lost control of her Hulk, and so she was permanently as the Hulk and not Jennifer Walters. And then previous to that, she was having issues like when the Avengers Disassembled happened back in like the early aughts. She had ripped up the Vision and she'd lost control, and so, but you can't think about those things in the past. You just kind of got to accept that they happened and then move on. And then if there's a thread that you can pull from what's happened with these characters, sure, but nothing to the point of like, well, he fought Thanos, but why can't he fight? He went to space with Black Widow, but why is he scared to go to this guy's warehouse? And anyway.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Rant over.
And I'm like, pretty sure even as a kid, nobody did that reading it. It was just, this is the next story. And, he's afraid of this guy. Okay, I'm afraid of this guy too.
Yeah, like for myself, it stopped if there was like a connecting dot to a previous series or volume or storyline that I read. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like they kind of integrated it, and then that was it. I was stopped and kept on reading the story that I was reading. So
I think maybe the only other time it would be if it was some sort of crossover and was like, hey, but they were friends in this fight. Now they're fighting each other.
Yeah.
Why is Spider-Man fighting Daredevil when they, were helping Professor X over here?
Yeah. Yeah, it's fandom, and that's what kind of has pissed me off with this Eternals movie. Is it's gotten shat on by fans in terms of it being a terrible movie and like the worst movie that Marvel's put out so far out of the 20 plus movies that they've made. It wasn't amazing, but it wasn't bad in my opinion.
No, my only issue with it really was it wasn't fun, which is odd for Marvel.
Yeah, it did.
I found it super missed.
It lacked that Marvel charm that you see in the movies for sure. I completely agree with it. And some of the reviews I've read and other podcasts I've listened to, they're bitching about how there was too many characters and like the flashbacks were disjointing the overall movie, which I didn't agree with that because I felt that you needed those flashbacks to really articulate and show how truly old they are and how long they've been with us. But
my
then
issue with the flashbacks, not to cut you off, my issue with the flashbacks was there was a point where I was reading an email on my phone and then I looked up and I'm like, where are we now? So in that regard,
fair enough.
If you're not paying attention, I'm like, well, she's supposed to be dead, but she's talking to him now, and they're not in the forest, they're in like Egypt. And I'm like,
you know what though? In my only argument to that would be we live in a world now with COVID where we are easily I'm assuming you've watched it at home, you're more easily distracted than you would be pre-COVID.
Oh, absolutely.
You could only
100%.
see them at the theater and you wouldn't check your email, and not that that's like a huge argument to stand on, but that's kind of just one thing that I would point out.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you then.
The other thing too is the amount of characters that like there were 10 Eternals and they didn't spend either enough time with each of them or that there was too many characters to remember and this, that, and the other and whatever. But it's probably the same people that were bitching and moaning about why was Hawkeye not in Infinity War and the other 62 characters were. And so there should be no issue with the amount of characters. And it was a longer movie than Infinity War even was itself. So who cares if there was 10 Eternals? Like, it doesn't matter. I liked it. I liked it because for me it was it really, I felt, set the table for, I think, what's to come in the next 5-6 years, assuming that there's no delays and whatnot. And my favorite part of the whole movie was when Star Fox and Arrow showed up. I was like, yes, like, original, like not original Avenger, but an Avenger from back in the day.
Yeah.
Thanos' brother, the ultimate charmer, an Eternal. Like, it was great. What's his name? Harry Styles.
Harry Styles.
Yeah, like the accent was like, it wasn't a perfect American accent, but it was okay. And Jade and I, we watch SNL religiously, and he's hosted and been a guest on that show a couple times now, and he's held his own in terms of acting. So I think he can pull that role off, no problem. But it was definitely my favorite part. But then also, like, there was a few scenes in the movie that were just beautiful, like when the Celestial was coming out of, when Tiamat, was coming out of the earth and it froze. Like, there were some very appealing scenes in that movie.
Yeah, well, that's going on. I'm just thinking, when does this take place? Because why does no one mentioned this yet? Why there's this giant hand now just out of the land that I'm sure anyone at any point in the world can see.
Yeah, it definitely happens after the blip, right? So it has to happen after Endgame. But would it be?
Yeah, I think it's probably, is it before Shang-Chi or is it after? Is it before Hawkeye? Is it after? I think those ones are the end of it all, timeline wise.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say, well, no, Hawkeye was it was Christmas time, but yes, it was Christmas in New York, and this was looked like Turks and Caicos or somewhere, wherever the.
And also looked like that's how when No Way Home ended, was Christmas in New York. Web swinging through Rockefeller Center and his fancy new digs.
So I was okay with the movie. The only, another, if I were to nitpick on something else as well, not enough Dane Whitman.
He was very seen at the beginning, seen at the end.
Yeah,
and then like one phone call that you didn't answer.
That's
and it was his picture on the phone.
But secrets. So my family has secrets. Boom, movie's over. It's like, man. But then we saw the ebony blade at the end, at the very the last scene after the credits. We saw the ebony blade. We heard Blade.
Which was another thing I was going to say, is if you didn't know Mahershala's voice, you wouldn't know that was Blade.
Yeah, that's true. But it also creates a bit of a paradox now, I guess, for Marvel, right? So
is everything canon now?
Well, you'd have to think. I mean, if Daredevil and Kingpin were in Spider-Man and Hawkeye respectively, then Cottonmouth would be canon, and now he's playing Blade. So, like, what is Cottonmouth no longer canon? Maybe they just, he was only 6 episodes, though, I think, of the first season, so it's not like he was a huge part of the story, or I could be mistaken. It was a forgettable series, in my opinion.
I did like him in his episode, so I thought he was good.
Yeah, it was yeah. I think
artistically it was good.
I think he'll be better as Blade for sure.
Yeah, my only thing now is with the multiverse, does it not make the Wesley Snipes movie canon?
Honestly, at this point, it's like, fuck it, like, just
everything.
Like, I want to see Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel and Wesley Snipes all come in. I want to see
Chris Evans, Johnny Storm coming in.
Yeah, I want to see Ben Affleck, come in as Daredevil, Colin Farrell as Bullseye. Bring it. Oh no, we can't.
Well, then what do you do about Happy? Because he was also.
Foggy.
He was Foggy.
Yeah, he's Foggy Nelson. That's right. But honestly, like, just don't stop. I mean, TV shows, do it, like, everything. Don't stop. Almost make it. Let's see how far you can push the envelope, Marvel.
Yeah, before you
let's just see.
Just before you start confusing yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
But I liked it. What'd you think of No Way Home?
Yeah, I really liked it. My favorite part was when Charlie Cox showed up, because I just loved the series so much.
For the 5 seconds.
Yeah, I would have definitely done more. I thought there was a lot of stuff that like he wrapped it up with his little comment of like, oh, no charges are coming, but like how are
So
you
quick.
not charging him?
Yeah, like so quick.
Yeah, that's all. It's fine.
It was on camera. It was broadcast in Times Squares, but we got you off. We
Yeah.
got you off.
It's more
You're right.
they're going to investigate Stark now, so it's fine.
Yeah, it was definitely not long enough. That's the thing. There were certain parts of that movie that I found were very fan friendly, and it was service for the fans. And it was, Charlie Cox. It was the quick introductions. I shouldn't say quick introductions of the Sinister Six, but there were certain points of the movie where it was like, okay, you introduce them and then you throw them in the cage, and then you take them out or into the pit or whatever.
The Lizard's case introduced off screen.
Yeah.
Just like, yeah, saw this guy over here, so I took care of it.
And then, Sandman, the actor's name escapes me.
Thomas Hayden Church.
Thank you. We never saw his face. It was just, like, but was it his voice?
Yeah.
It was his voice.
Yeah,
okay.
It was a COVID situation.
Oh, is that the case? Okay.
Yeah, I was just going to get everybody together.
Okay. Well then, okay, I'll let that one slide.
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Yeah. Oh, it's admissible.
Yeah. They couldn't get him, just time constraints and COVID, so they repurposed footage from Spider-Man 3.
It was everything I wanted as a Spider-Man fan, as a comic book fan, as just a movie fan. Like it was, aside from the few minor hiccups, in my opinion.
And what are your hiccups?
Well, the hiccups would be, the Lizard situation, or the quick hits with Daredevil. Like Aunt May dying, and I know that someone had to die to turn Peter to that take him to that more next level responsibility perspective or acceptance of who he is and what he has to do. But that was about it. So very few, but it was unbelievable. And even though I knew that Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were going to be in the movie, when Tobey Maguire walked through that little fire ring, I swear to God, I almost cried. Like it was just holy shit. Like
he's back.
He's back. Like it's unbelievable. This is 20 years ago. And it's everything's come full circle. And then that's when it just clicked with me. It was like, holy shit, the possibilities that are coming from this movie and like just what Marvel's trying to do. Like Marvel is now they have the blueprint. They had the blueprint of setting the foundation with phases 1 through 4 up to Endgame. And they've set that foundation, that base, and now they're just gonna blow it wide open. And that's really exciting. I think it's really exciting as a comic book fan. It's really exciting as just a movie fan and in general. So
yeah, I'm curious now that they have that big push to continue the Garfield series, if that'll actually happen.
The Garfield series.
Yeah, like the Amazing Spider-Man.
Oh,
not the cat.
You threw me up. Yeah, but like, why wouldn't
when I rewatched those, I always thought that his universe would be best suited for the Tom Hardy Venom.
Yeah,
and
because it's realistic, but it's almost got a splash of not unrealism, but almost like a
hyperrealism.
Thank you. Yeah, like it has that splash, that dash of it. So yeah, I would agree. I would definitely agree.
And I think Morbius would fit into that as well.
Yeah. Like how old is Andrew Garfield? Because like I would assume he didn't look too like. I guess what I'm trying to say is that he didn't look old enough to not be able to reprise the role. Like I think he should, or he could rather reprise it. But yeah, like I think also his trilogy almost was robbed of there were a few mistakes with that. Like, let's be honest, with the Rhino and the way that they portrayed Electro, like there's a few things that they could have done differently. But I think the chemistry between him and MJ, what's her name?
Oh, Emma Stone.
Emma Stone, thank you, was undeniable. Like, him as Spider-Man was believable.
He's
It
the
was
only one that did a Queen's accent of the three.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like, so I felt like those two movies were like they were right there.
Yeah,
but they just couldn't get over the yard line, much like the Titans tonight.
It's back to the Titans.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. But yeah, hopefully he reprises his role, even if it's for a one-off. Like, even if it's like do the same thing, come back for Avengers 6, 7, or 8. Like, who cares? Do a Spider-Verse movie, like, like, what about like Miguel O'Hara and Spider-Man 2099 and Miles Morales? And like, that's the thing too. Maybe, like, you were talking about Spider-Man 4 and what the future is for Tom Holland. Would they maybe consider bringing him on as like the new Tony Stark mentor type role and introduce Miles Morales at a much younger age, like maybe like a 15, 16, 17, 18-year-old actor to play that age? And then you've got him for at least 3 or 4 movies that way. And then Spider-Man Tom Holland could be the mentor of that relationship, but still have him in the movies.
Yeah, like a handoff almost.
Almost like a handoff, yeah, like a baton. It's the Olympics.
Yeah, I can see that. Because it sounds like they just agreed to one more movie, Marvel and Sony. I think is what the press said.
It's almost like, how do they? It's just so stupid, though. I mean, the money that they're both raking in is undeniable, and why would they not want to continue it? I think the setup was that Sony kept all of the box office dollars, or a large majority of the box office dollars that came in through the partnership, but then Marvel got to keep all of the merchandising dollars that came in through like toys or clothing or whatever the case might be.
I think
it was something like that, which is still, I mean,
yeah, and they split the production cost.
Yeah. So I think that's, I mean, listen, Disney is not hurting for money. So if they bleed into the red on a few instances or a few trilogies, do it just for the sake of the fan base and the fans of the movies. Yeah.
So the next biggest thing is what, Moon Knight.
Yeah.
Catch that trailer on Monday?
Yep. Yeah.
I don't know much about Moon Knight, but I've heard before saying he is essentially Marvel's Batman, which I thought kind of Iron Man was, since he's a billionaire.
Yeah,
but so this is the true Marvel Batman.
So Moon Knight
he's got like multiple personality disorder or something.
Yeah, there was 3, and now there's 5 personalities that he has. And the previous 3 was Mark Spector, Jake Lockley, and Steve. I'm drawing a blank. But when he was first created, those 3 personalities were split into Wolverine, Captain America, and Spider-Man. So depending on whatever personality he would either be the aggressor in Wolverine, he'd be the immature or inexperienced fighter or superhero in Spider-Man, or he would be the leader in Captain America. But then over time, there's a few others that were evolved in is it Mr. Knight? Yeah, Mr. Knight, where he's like more of a he doesn't have the costume, but he's in like a white tux, and he's got the crescent moon, and he's he's more of like the sophisticated one. And then there's the Moon Knight character, and so there's going to be a huge, there's going to be 4 or 5 characters, I would imagine, at least 3 of them anyway, that are going to be portrayed in the show. And then each of them, so Mark Spector is the one who finds the ancient god of Khonshu. So he's kind of like, you would consider him like before he's Moon Knight. And then Jake Lockley is kind of that the wealthy one, like he's the one that can pay for all of the weapons that he has and his base and whatnot. And then Steve, I can't remember his last name, but he's the guy that keeps his ear to the ground, and he speaks to the people on the street and like knows what's happening. And so all of those 3 combined would create Moon Knight. So I think it's good. I think it's for Oscar Isaacs, is it?
Yep.
It's definitely a lot different than um, other portrayals that he's done. And you can even tell in his voice, like certain parts of the trailer, he sounded weak and just crazy. And I think it's going to be good. I don't know how many episodes it is. I think hopefully at least 8 or so. But I think it'll be exciting. It's unfortunate though. There was that, I don't know if I'm sure you've heard, but there was the French actor that died earlier this
Oh
week.
yes, ski accident.
Who was in that movie. I mean, I don't know to what degree, how big of a character he was in that movie, but it's still unfortunate. But I think I'm pretty excited about seeing how that show pans out.
Yeah. Parker thought it was like, oh, Batman's got a white costume. No, that's Moon Knight. Who's Moon Knight?
I think it would be great to see like Moon Knight was, like Marvel Knights, and it'd be great to see like him and Daredevil and Punisher and like the street level characters come and be kind of a team, much like they did with the Defenders, but hopefully on a much larger and better scale.
Yeah. When I rewatch Daredevil and I get from end of season 2 and I'm going to throw season 3 on it, I realize I have to watch Defenders just to bridge the gap to properly watch it.
Yeah.
Part of me dies a little bit.
I didn't watch Defenders.
Yeah, it's just, if you wanted to just see more Charlie Cox's Matt Murdock, then you're good, but just too much Iron Fist.
Yeah, it was not good. I remember I forget which episodes, but there was one of the open collar ones.
Oh yeah,
it was probably earlier on where you were just laying into.
That's our go-to. Like that's like of a scale. Like there's like The Office. You have Toby, and then we have Iron Fist. So Toby's the worst. Iron Fist is below that.
Yeah, we basically want to give Iron Fist the little going away gift of a rock.
Yeah. And how dare you?
How dare you? Who do you think you are?
Oh, I remember watching the first time just killing myself laughing, but when he leaves the office and goes to yell at everybody, but who thought it was a good idea to give that as a present? Dwight gets up, well, you did. That was just killer.
That show Jade and I have watched at least 7 times through, and every single time there isn't a laugh that's less than the time before. It holds up. Absolutely holds up. It would never be made in today's world.
Oh no. Office. No, there's a lot of things that we've been watching that you can't do, which is either very good or very unfortunate depending on where you land in
I think it's unfortunate, but
part of me thinks is we're going to push things way too far in the PC level that it's just going to come swinging back the other side.
Oh, everything is cyclical. Like it'll definitely come around, but the reason why I feel that it should still be able to be made in today's world is if you don't like it, then you just don't watch it.
We don't live in that world though. If you don't like it, then you get on your soapbox and you make sure that it's removed from wherever you saw it.
I'm pissed.
Yeah.
I'm pissed. Do you know there's an off button, right? I did not know that.
But it's not up to me to turn it off. It's up for you to make sure that it's never seen.
That's right.
It's weird watching things now that are from years ago, and everything has that disclaimer of this program contains content that was never appropriate then, just like it's never appropriate now. But for the context of historical viewing, please be advised.
You don't see that anymore.
I've had it on was that Game TV? There's some like 60s or 70s game shows that are on.
No, but I'm saying you don't see it for new shows now.
Oh no, because it's all cleaned up.
Yeah, crazy. Like the almost not buyer beware, but just viewer beware.
Yeah, like I'll watch some old stand-up and hear things, and part of me is just laughing, but then thinking if I was anywhere outside my home, I'd be tarred and feathered. Especially if you're watching Eddie Murphy's Delirious with some of his
So
stuff
funny
he
though.
talks about. But it's hilarious.
It's so funny. And you know, you I think specifically to that one, it's you have to appreciate the like he really carved the way for so many other comedians to not necessarily bite his style, but in a sense bite his style. And like they
Yeah.
pulled a lot of their timing and a lot of their jokes and a lot of the way that they look at things in life and how they tweak it to their profession from Delirious.
Yeah.
And so there's a, you know, I don't think we would have Dave Chappelle as he is today or as he was when he was at his most successful point if Delirious wasn't around. So I think you have to appreciate that. Even, you know, the like some of the first Dave Chappelle stand-ups, like you would never see them now. You know, there was the other one was the Bill. What was the Bill Burr one? Is it Paper Tiger? It's one he was in London, and it's pretty recent. But shit, like he just went off on everyone, and probably pissed off a few people. But if you find it funny, you find it funny. But if you don't, then you just don't have to watch it.
There's a I don't know if it's a like a docu-series or going to be a documentary film, but it's from who was it? Oh, I can't remember his name at the moment, but it's basically it's about Cosby, right? But it's having a conversation about how you can still like his stuff, but not like him.
Yeah.
And it's trying to find that fine line. I can't remember who did it. I was just reading about it today. I'm like, yeah, I'll watch that because I have that conversation all the time. Like, well, Cosby Show, let's watch that because it was hilarious. Or watch Bill Cosby stand up. But then, can I though in 2022 watch this stuff or is this showing that I support him and everything that he?
Yeah, but you know what? Like, if yeah, I think if you find it funny, go ahead and watch it. It's like Louis C.K. When he had that issue 3 or 4 years ago. I think he was like groping or touching himself or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't make his stand-ups any less funny.
No,
you know, or like
maybe your perception of him.
But the jokes are still funny, and the observations are still funny, and the delivery is still funny. Or when Kevin Hart, when those tweets of his came out just before he was going to host the Oscars, his stand-ups are still funny. You know, he's still a funny person. His delivery, his timing's great. Like, it doesn't, in my mind, change anything. But like if the person is awful in real life, then yeah, like I think you can separate the two. That's the thing, though. You're gonna have these conversations, and you're gonna have people on either side of the fence, and you're never gonna be able to bring them together anymore.
Well, that's their problem. Is like go back 15 years, there was no fence. It was, oh, this guy's terrible, but he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like it was, oh, I don't necessarily agree with these choices, but I'll throw on a Michael Jackson album.
Yeah. People love Michael Jackson still, and there was, issues or questions asked about his involvement with the younger ones, right?
Yeah, well, people still listen to Jerry Lee Lewis, even though he married his cousin.
Yeah, it's fucking 13. Right? He was like 25 years her senior. Like,
I know.
Like,
and no one said anything.
No, and they still
people still don't talk about it.
What was the song of like Great Balls of Fire?
Great Balls of Fire, yeah.
Yeah, like no, they're still jamming to that
with his feet.
Yeah. Jerry Lee Lewis. Did you ever see that movie? The biopic with
Dennis Quaid? No.
Dennis Quaid?
Yeah, Winona Ryder was the
That's right.
cousin.
Yeah. Never seen it. Never seen it. So what are you guys back onto a weekly schedule or more of an ad hoc? What's going on with Open Collar?
We're trying to keep it regular. Well, I'm trying to keep it regular. It seems to have taken the reins from everybody. So
It's awesome.
that's
Well,
what
I
we're
will
trying.
join anytime.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We always have an empty seat.
We'll have to do. Is there any Florida Man that you have recent, or it's one of my favorite segments? So if it is a segment,
oh, it is. I haven't prepped one. I've been working on one. It's hard to find. Hard to find it online. Like you find it in memes all the time, but when I find it in a meme, I figure someone's already seen it. So I try to scour the internet looking for. But
you just go to floridaman.com. No,
you'd think. You'd think. But no, next time I have one for sure. Get you on there because we have. I actually worked a little agreement with some folks. We will have an actual theme song for it. I've received permission to use their song.
Oh, get out for real! Oh, that's amazing.
Swear to God. Swear to God. So I'm working on the little video intro for that.
That's amazing. You know, it makes you wonder. Like, are these? Is every Florida Man story legit, or like there's like really?
I don't know. I think so. I think if I can find it in a
97.5% accurate.
Yeah.
It's crazy because some of them you hear, it's like, how, like, what is going on with the people down south? It's
tough.
you know, it was, I'm trying to think of one, but there's just so many that I can't remember any. But you know, there's been, you know, brother cuts off brother's dick because he sleeping with like his wife, and it's like, what is going on? That's in the state of Florida. Anyway,
I think I sent one off to Ryan. I don't know if necessarily if it was Florida, but it was kind of in that vein. Let's see if I can get it here quickly before time runs out. Oh no, I don't have it. But yeah, it was something like that. It was like guy kills best friend after
losing in Call of Duty or something.
No, it was worse. It was guy kills best friend after 10-hour anal session for not saying no homo afterwards.
That's what I mean. Like, how like, you can't make this stuff up, you know? Or maybe you can. I mean, who knows?
It up, but it might not necessarily sound as effed up as what goes down in Florida.
Yeah, that's, you know, them bath salts down there, I tell you. Potent potables.
I hear potent potables, I just instantly go to Celebrity Jeopardy.
Yeah, Turd Ferguson.
Yeah, man. Norm and now Bob Saget, man.
Yeah.
Every time somebody from my childhood goes, I just know I'm that much closer to the grave.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're season.
Well, we're seeing it more often now, right? People that we grew up with, like Louis Armstrong, even, and like, do you remember Louis? What was it, Little Louis? What was the cartoon? Life of Louis. Thank you.
Yeah, I watched that with my Frosted Flakes on a Saturday morning, waiting for Spider-Man.
Yeah. And now it's, you know, crazy.
Yeah, Bob Saget growing up with Meatloaf being played throughout the house.
Yeah. You know, it's funny, the day that Bob Saget died, or that the news came out, that day we started allowing, I shouldn't say allow, because it's not like it's not.
It's weird saying that. Eh? It's weird saying as a parent now. Oh, we allow our children.
Yeah, and you know, I should rephrase it, because it's not that we allowed it. We introduced him to Full House, and I'll tell you, man, if this isn't his favorite show right now, I don't know what is, because it's all he wants to watch, and he comes on with whatever euphemism it is that the character has in their show. He's doing it now, and you know, he's watching it downstairs, and you can hear him just laughing at the top of his, like, just screaming as loud as he could, laughing.
We have the kids, they don't watch a lot of TV, but when they do, that's what they ask for.
Yeah, Full House.
We're at the tail end of season 3 now.
Yeah, Oliver just started season 3. Yeah, and he's like, when this is done, we're gonna watch Fuller House. And I don't have the heart to say to him, like, the reviews on that weren't
Yeah.
too good,
It's
Don't
not
get your
the
hopes up there, kid.
Yeah.
Kimmy Gibbler might be that much more annoying as an adult than as a kid. So just
Yeah, and then I think the originals like the Jesse, Joey, and Danny, I don't think are in it as much. I don't know, I never watched it.
Yeah, I've never seen it either. You know what though? We did blow Oliver's mind because we were like, Michelle, she was played by these two twins, Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen. Do you know who their older sister is? And he's like, no, it's Wanda. It's Wanda from MCU. And he's like, get out. Like, just boom. And then he was watching a documentary on Disney Plus about the making of WandaVision.
Yeah.
And Elizabeth Olsen was talking about how she used to be on the set of Full House when she was younger, watching her sister's act, and he paused it, ran downstairs. Oh yeah, she just said this, and I was like, "You weren't lying." It's like, yeah, I know I wasn't lying.
Yeah,
you might as well have just said that I was lying. But, yeah, it just blew his mind away.
Yeah, our kids knew of Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen before Full House, so they couldn't wrap their mind around how two girls are playing one girl on that show.
Yeah.
So they're like, "Is that Mary Kate or is that Ashley?"
And did you you find yourself trying to look for these, these identifiers for each of them?
It's harder when the first two seasons, but as you get older, you can definitely notice the difference.
As a parent, watching the first two seasons of the show, I think to myself, they were either extremely bright as infants, or had a lot of coaching or just good timing that the TV show did with the delivery of lines or expressions or whatever, because I know with Arlo and Oliver, when they were 1 year old or 2 years old, trying to get them to say something that they could say at a specific time or do something or express their, show an expression at a particular time was difficult at best. So
we have videos of Summer at Disney on Ice when she was 2 or 3, and she would only ever say the first syllable of names. So Mickey, Minnie, or and and Goofy was just G.
Yeah.
But we knew what she was talking. Somehow we knew what she was talking about.
Yeah.
You
kind of get used to it.
Minnie with Minnie's nieces, Millie and Melody. Good luck. Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. To get them to do anything, even now, get them to do anything on cue, say it like this is damn near impossible.
We started off, we were talking earlier in the show about homeschool and whatnot. The one thing I don't like about them going back to school is the dreaded okay, got to get ready for school now.
Yes.
You got to start them 5 minutes before. Well, especially Arlo, the younger one. Just I don't want to get ready, and he's got to throw in all 75 layers of clothes because it's minus a million outside.
And the funny thing is, now that working out of the house is easier for us, we still don't have the time to get them ready.
Yeah. That's why I love the summer. Just put on your shoes, your ball cap, and you're good to go.
Yeah. Just if it's raining, then you need a hat.
That's it. Soon enough, buddy. Soon enough. We'll get there.
Yeah, even if it was -5, that's almost spring weather.
We're in the dog days of winter right now, and I always say it's like a lamb out like a lion. December is all of December up to the end of December. It's pretty mild, moderate snow, not a lot. And you're like, yeah, you know what? This winter it might not be bad. And then as soon as January 1st hits, just
and then they said, we had the coldest days in 4 years.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, so it's and if 50 centimeters of snow wasn't enough, we're gonna give you -40 weather. Oh shit.
Yeah, as I got older, I've been watching the news more and the weather more, so I'm starting to figure out how this whole thing works. When they show the jet stream dipping here and going up here, and you're like, okay, well, if I see this precipitation over on this side, based on that, it's gonna come right up and hit us.
Just the swing of a pendulum.
Yeah.
You could be a meteorologist. Matt Scooby, watch out.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's too hard in the news cycle now. They don't have designated anything. Just read what's on the prompter.
For those international listeners, Matt Scooby is a local meteorologist on the news.
He's well loved. A lot of people love him.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
the one person that's watching the news that looks like he's having a good time.
He's young and full of piss and vinegar. Meanwhile, his predecessor is in some legal trouble. So, or was, I should say. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't remember his name now, but when I heard his name wasn't JJ Clark, I was thrown for a loop.
100%. Yeah. It was, I can't remember what it's like, Rowan or some.
Yeah, just like
really awkward.
Who do you like? How do you pick that? Like, just come up with that name.
Randolph Orenthal or something like that. Yeah.
Even that I would have taken.
Yeah. We're going to go. What's your name, sir? Rudolph. JJ it is. We're going to go JJ.
Okay. That sounds about right.
The program manager is not the brightest or sharpest tool in the shed, so we're just going to stick with JJ. 2 letters that he remembers. And then for 40 years of his life, that's how he was known. And Bob is your uncle.
He was a big JJ Walker fan.
JJ Walker.
Was that Good Times?
Is that Dynamite?
Yeah.
It is Walker. Yeah. Dynamite. That's digging in the crates of television.
It's deep cut.
That is
for someone who's only 35.
Yeah, that's even before my time. That's like Sanford and Son. Were you watching Sanford and Son as well? Archie Bunker. Now that's what was the
All in the Family.
All in the Family. That show would not be made. See, but we were talking about things being cyclical. When that came out, in the 80s, they were like, oh, it's never going to be made, or the 90s, it's never going to be made. And then Seinfeld came out, which was, maybe a little controversial, I guess, in some respects. But then Office came out, and now we have It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So there's always going to be those shows that, push the envelope, as it were.
Yeah, it's each decade or so you get a group of folks where they're just like, you can't make fun of us anymore.
Yeah.
Or we're not the butt of the jokes anymore.
We're going to deliver the jokes.
It seemed like a long time ago that even if you were like taking the brunt of the jokes, you seemed more like you were in on it as well. Now everyone just seems to be offended over everything.
Or you wanted it, like you were expecting it.
Yeah, I used to love watching the stand-ups where at the end where like the comedians picking on somebody in the crowd about something.
That would make, or even going to a live show.
Yeah,
like that would watching a special or going in person, like picking on the audience, like that's almost to me like you almost need that with stand-up comedy. You just need like a jab or two. You need them to interact with the fans, and it's almost like a musician would interact with the fans in between the songs at a concert, right?
Yeah, like you making fun of somebody's hair, or she's with this guy who looks like a dork, or this one's all dressed to the nines for a comedy club.
And I mean, listen, if you are sitting in the first row, like you got to expect that, right?
Yeah.
You have to go in knowing that, yeah, honey, I got us row A. Well, row A is also going to be the row that
you are in the splash zone.
Yeah,
so bring a poncho.
Yeah, you've got the bullseye in your forehead, sir.
Yeah.
You have got the bullseye on your forehead. Yeah, that's one thing I miss. I can't wait to get back out, and I want to go to a comedy show. Really do. Jade and I we bought tickets for Bill Burr next summer in Montreal, assuming that, knock on wood, everything is okay and it's not postponed and or canceled.
You still haven't watched The Mandalorian, eh?
I've only seen the first 5 episodes of season 1.
Has he shown up in that yet?
No.
No, okay, because he's in that.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he like the same? Oh, wait. Okay, so the last episode that I saw was season 1 of Mandalorian. He goes to this like fishing village, and there are these other villagers that were like going in to attack them, and they built like a defense mechanism, trenches, I guess, in the water. Yeah. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
That was the last one. So at that point, I don't know.
No, he's in after that. Yeah.
But I do know what happened at the end of, was it season 1 or season 2 with Luke? So that got spoiled for me. Fuck the internet. Pissed.
Well, just the fact that there's a Boba Fett series that just spoils season 2 for you too.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I haven't seen. Have you seen Boba Fett?
Yeah, I'm up to date.
Do you like it?
There's some things I would change, but it's more stylistic stuff, which I think is done to make it different from The Mandalorian.
So does it take place? Obviously, it takes place before Return of the Jedi, but does it take place like in between episodes 5 and 6, like Empire?
Oh no, it takes place in the Mandalorian timeline,
which is when?
Which is post Jedi.
Post Jedi.
Yeah, this goes back to basically.
But then, how is Boba Fett?
Oh, it's explained.
What? Okay, so he falls into the monster and then
Sarlacc
shoots his way out, climbs his way out, and then he's good to go.
More or less. But he's not really good to go. That's again all explained.
The one thing that I am actually keeping up on is with respect to Star Wars are the comics. Surprisingly, I never really grew up reading Star Wars comics. Not that there was a whole ton of them out there.
I read 1 or 2 of the like expanded universe books, but that's about it.
Yeah, well, everything like is now kind of one canon. So I'm reading Darth Vader, I'm reading Star Wars, and then I'm reading Bounty Hunters, and they just finished this this story-wide crossover called War of the Bounty Hunters, and now there's Crimson Reign. So they're really expanding the universe, and it's actually quite interesting. The Star Wars book is from when Luke is younger, and it's just after he was told that Vader was his father. So it's him coping with that and accepting that, but then also trying to refine himself as a Jedi. So it's actually pretty good. Like I'm surprised that I've been hanging on to the thread of that series for some time now, or that volume.
Oh, so that's a good point to pick up on, right? Because that's right after Empire, and there's a gap between that and Jedi, obviously.
Yeah,
because he's learning to be a Jedi. Then by start of Return of the Jedi, he's a knight.
Well, yeah, and think about the Empire Strikes Back. The movie ends where he's standing on the ship and he's looking out. He's got the hand, and that was always one of the coolest scenes. I don't know why I loved it, but when the little needle thing was pricking the fingers and his moving, it's like, that's so cool.
Like, how did they do this? He must have a robotic arm.
It's robotic hands are real. But then in Jedi, he shows up on Tatooine and is already the master. So yeah, there's that huge gap, and I'm not sure if you're still like reading current stories, but I would definitely recommend them.
I do like Family Guy when they spoof it. It's like, yeah, let's go when Han gets taken. It's like, yeah, let's go get him, but let's wait 5 years. It's like, oh yeah, that kind of is what happened in story-wise.
Yeah, and just fast forward. It's like the blip. Right?
Yeah.
Where was that snap of the finger? I don't know. I didn't see it.
I'm still not sold on calling it the blip. I thought that was just gonna be like Far From Home high school terminology that they're gonna call it, but there's an actual name. But then no, that's what it is. Everyone calls it the blip.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I can't. Was it Spider-Man? No, it was Ajax in Eternals when she was talking to Icarus about the blip, and she said blip, and it's like, okay, there's the problem is that I can't see like adults using that word. Like I couldn't be talking with Jade or you here now or anyone else that's an adult and say, oh yeah, that blip. It's like convergence or whatever the word is. Like, adultify that word just a little bit if you could, please.
Even the snap, because that's what he did. He snapped his finger.
Even snap. It's a 4-letter word. It's the same amount. Work with that. Blip. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's better than Peter Tingle, I guess. So we said there's been what? So three Spider-Mans with Tom Holland, 2 with Andrew Garfield, 3 with Toby, and not one Spider-Man said Spider Sense. 2 characters have said it in the Toby franchise, the Doctor scientist in the first one said that
Oh
the
yeah,
spiders
a
have a
spider
precognition.
sense of sorts. Yeah.
And then Eddie says it in Spider-Man 3 as a, oh, my spider sense is tingling, if you know what I'm talking about. But that's it. No one else ever says it.
It's very observant.
That's the internet. That's what they do.
Because you're right. Like I wouldn't. Yeah, shit.
You don't think about it until you hear it.
Because yeah, you're right. Within the first 5 minutes, you hear the doctor at NYU say it.
Yeah.
First movie, you're like, okay, perfect. Yeah, like here we go. And then you don't hear it for 20 years.
Yeah.
Or 15 years. Right? We've said it. We're gonna wait for a decade or so, and then we'll say it again. Yeah, we'll let someone else say it.
But now we'll call it the Peter Tingle.
I'm surprised that they didn't have the Vulture in No Way Home, or like there wasn't any nod to him or focus on him. I guess you should say, or I guess
everyone was kind of hoping they would show up just to make it 6 villains. And go, hey, we got a Sinister Six, but we got 5.
You know, when I got my own Sinister Six with my figures, I'm just missing Doc Ock. I needed a Doc Ock, and then I'm good to go.
Oh, I'm also close with my Spider-Man 141 canvas print that's got 5 on there.
Oh, there you go. Who's on there?
We got Mysterio, Ock, Vulture, Morbius, and I guess that's the Jackal.
The Jackal.
Yeah.
Miles Warren.
Mysterio is back, and this time he's not alone.
There you go.
That's right.
Yeah, I got mine. I just need the Doc Ock. I was looking at the Doc Ock, and it was going for about $120. And I was like, "There's no way I'm fucking paying that for a figurine. I'm sorry, can't do it."
This is what, like an auction site, like eBay.
Yeah, or just even like figure shops, like a couple of the websites, because they know that it's in demand. And it could be also because of the movie just recently coming out that they want to charge that much, and they can probably get away with it. So I might just hold off for a little bit.
Think it'll still be in demand come February when it's on digital. Maybe they'll probably up it then too.
Yeah, that could be it. But it's the 60th year of Spider-Man this year, so Hasbro, who does Marvel Legends, is just like they're just all in on Spider-Man this year with all the releases that they're doing. So I'm kind of hoping that they will re-release a Doc Ock figure, which I think the last one, the one I've been talking about, was from 2 or 3 years ago. So time for a new one.
So part of you is just like, I wish this movie would have bombed so things would be so cheap.
No. Yeah, or that. Yeah. Inside. That's my inside voice.
Yeah, inside voice.
In my inside voice. I got a Marvel Legends. I pre-ordered it from Hasbro last year. A Galactus, and it's 32 inches high.
Bigger than the one that's behind you?
The one that's behind me is like 12, and this one is 32.
Almost lifelike.
It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. So like my Instagram account that I was using for comics, I kind of paused just a little bit on that. It's been a while since I posted. But I'm going to get back into it. I'm going to start posting. I'm just going to start doing some photography again with the whole, like, I'm super glad that I'm married before I can come out and say these things. Because
I'm with you. I was doing the same thing for a while too.
Yeah.
I was collecting all these kind of figures just for that purposes of photography.
Yeah.
And now they're all in a bin that Parker plays with.
I've been trying to find the last several days floral wiring. This is really riveting for the listeners, I know, but I've been trying to find floral wiring that's white colored, and I can't because I want to make webbing for my Spider-Man figures. I can't. Nowhere in Ottawa did they sell white colored floral wiring that's 22 gauge, which is the size I need. It only comes in green. So unless people will believe in my photographs that Spider-Man shoots out green webbing, I'm screwed. Unless I spray paint it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say your stopgap would be just get a bottle of spray paint. But then that's just more work.
Yeah, I mean, I just want to play with the toys. I don't want to spray paint things.
Get some white hockey tape you can wrap around.
That's right. I should do that. Anyway, that's kind of what I've been focused on right now. Prepping the scene, as it were.
You got like the whole like light box and all that stuff too, or?
No, like I've been thinking about doing that,
Yeah,
but
I thought of that too. I thought making my own before we
Yeah.
moved here, when I was staying at my or living with my my grandmother. That's what I did. We had the laundry room. I just basically took some really big Bristol board, tacked it up to just above the wash machine, and let it just drape down. And then I had my fluorescent desk lights, just for the lighting. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't great, but
Oh, that's a good idea.
it was cheaper than buying a light box.
That's a great idea. I might have to try that.
Did some of
Yeah,
that here too.
I'm trying to just come up with. So yeah, I'll take a picture of like it in its package, and then I'll open it, and then I'll take poses with it. So I've. We'll see how it goes. We'll see. That's where I really rely on Oliver. He's really creative with the poses. So it's like, okay, you pose it, I'll take the photo. But then you can see like these really in-depth ones. Like there's this one guy, 6-inch Legends on Instagram, great follow. And he really goes all out for these photos. Like he has one for Wanda, and she's like, posing as if she's flying and her hands are up. And then he has like pink or reddish powder. He's got an air pump, so he pushes the pump down so the dust goes everywhere just as he's taking a picture, and it looks as though she's flying through this cloud of red or this cloud of burgundy. It's pretty crazy.
I'll send you. I just sent you one. It's let's_toy. You should see what this guy does.
It's just all professional. Oh, here we go.
He basically will create scenes. He also recreates some.
Oh, these are all like my superpower ones right here.
Yeah, like some inspiration. He'll recreate comic covers and some. He did a recreation of a promotional art of the '89 Batman movie.
Oh yeah, here we go. Oh, that's awesome. This one here.
This guy goes all And then he usually shows you like a behind the scenes of how he did it too.
Crazy. Let's toy. I'm following him. Awesome.
Yeah, man. We all shall toy. Me, I just have minifigures of Ghostbusters on my desk.
That's awesome. Are those Legos?
Yeah. I got the Ecto one years ago, and I just kept these guys on the stands, and that's where they stay.
Nice. I got my superpowers right here. So here's one, Dr. Fate. Boom.
Right on.
Cape and all. Some of them are old though. And then I don't know if you might be too young, but Mask.
I remember you talking about Mask. Mask was like your all-time.
Oh, it's so good. So good. And then I've got a Soundwave toy. Anyway. Man, I wish I had all my toys from when I was a kid.
Yep, I think the minute I moved out, those all went either in the garbage or got donated. My parents didn't really want to hang on to anything sentimental.
Yeah. I moved to Calgary when I was 20, and I brought all my Transformers. I had every Transformer, like every single Gen 1 Transformer. And I had like Tupperware bins, and I brought them with me to Calgary when I moved there. And my mom was like, "Are you sure you want to do that? Like, we'll just keep them here. And if you move back, great. If not, then we'll send them to you." And I was like, "No, I want to bring them all out because I want to set them up." Well, when I drove out there, when we got there, the same weekend, the nanny that was living in the loft at my dad's house was moving out. So she had a bunch of stuff in the garage. And so I put my stuff in the garage, and got donated, and then it all got lost. And some kid hopefully got enjoyment out of playing with my $600 Optimus Prime. God damn it.
Yeah. That one will stay with you.
I'll never forget that. The one time I should have listened. The one time.
And I'm sure that's how she looks at it too. If
Let
you
this
only
be
would listen to me.
Let this be a lesson to you kids out there.
Yeah.
Listen to your folks.
I am going to play that to my children on loop.
That's right. This is recorded, right?
Yeah. Yeah. No, for sure. Because we had a rough day with him today, so they're definitely going to be listening to that tomorrow.
Yeah. We'll just go back to the 1 hour and 29-minute mark of what Steve said about Transformers and how he wished he would have listened to his mother. Listen to your parents, kids.
It's one thing that Parker never got into is Transformers. I know he's only 6, but he didn't really show an interest in them. My nephew does. Loves them.
But I find it's different than when we were growing up with it. Like, I think now it's Avengers and it's Marvel because they're just inundated with TV shows and video games and clothing and toys and whatnot. Whereas there really isn't much of a Transformers presence right now as there was when we were growing up. Like, when we were growing up, it was one of the top 3 most popular shows that were going on. And their toys were popular, and the clothing and the merchandise and whatnot.
And the movie.
With
that soundtrack.
Yeah. Was it You Have the Touch?
That's right.
You have the power.
Steve Perry of Journey.
Is it Steve Perry?
I'm pretty sure.
Oh, you know what? You might be right, because it sounds...
I could just hear his voice.
Yeah. I didn't like how Optimus died. Spoilers. I didn't like
1986. I think we're okay.
I didn't like how Optimus died so easily at the hands of Megatron. Well, I guess they both died, but it was just.
But only one came back as Galvatron.
What's that, sorry?
This is only one came back as Galvatron.
Yes, that's true. But I remember watching that, thinking Galvatron is like, oh my god, that's so awesome! Like, it was like
it was The Touch by Stan Bush. My apologies to the late Steve Perry.
Did you say the late Steve?
No, I meant to say the great Steve Perry. I know he didn't die.
Okay.
I know he didn't die. Sorry.
Oh,
no.
You almost had me floored for a minute. I'm gonna go downstairs and play Lights.
No, not the great.
Everyone's
telling. I guess it just was in my mind.
That's right. It's, COVID 2022.
Yeah, who knows?
Steve Bush, though, eh?
Stan Bush.
Do you think he's still going around and like playing at casinos or using that as, hi, I'm Stan Bush. You might know me from blah 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 Transformers song. Do you think he still does that?
Oh yeah,
I hope he's not dead and we're just ripping into him.
He's doing the matinees. I don't know. Let's see.
Come on.
Stan Bush, like that. The Touch Stan Bush song is what's written here. No, he's still very much alive and active.
Okay.
So we continue with the bashing of
playing at the Alibaba Casino and Resort.
That's right.
This weekend.
Bush's most notable works include the songs "The Touch" and "Dare" from the 1986 animated film Transformers the movie.
Oh, so he's basically brought on to do the soundtrack.
Yeah, I guess like Prince in '89 was Batman.
Awesome soundtrack.
It's funny to think that is the soundtrack, but you figure out at the same time, yes, it's '89, and who else was bigger than Prince around that time?
Well, just the scene when Joker's going around and like when he meets Vicky Vale and starts defacing all the artwork and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
The Prince song that was playing then, it was like it's iconic for sure. I'll never forget where I was when that movie came out and which movie theater that I went to and who I was with and just the whole experience. And it was amazing. It was probably one of the first, well, if not the first superhero movie where it was like, oh my God, this is actually happening. And that's why I hope kids nowadays appreciate what they have, because when we were growing up, we didn't have that. Like if we got, the Batman movie or the TMNT movies, anything that was somewhat comic book or video game or cartoon based, we lost our shit. Whereas now kids are like, oh, there's only 5 MCU movies this year. Like, what the hell, man? We're only getting one every 3 months. What the hell, man?
This is true.
Why
I'm sure people are 100% taking it for granted.
Yeah, it's like you don't know how good you have it, kid.
Yeah,
You know?
it's gonna be at the point where kids are like just gonna be on their phones throughout the whole movie, waiting for the end credit scene to know what's coming next.
And if you really want to prove a point with them, you just show them like the Hulk TV show made for TV movie with Daredevil and Thor, and be like, that was my Thor, and that was my Daredevil growing up.
Or even that Spider-Man
TV show. Oh,
yeah,
amazing! Like,
yeah, I watched it.
I remember my dad. I visited him out in Calgary one year, and he had this big, huge satellite dish, and it was the USA Network, and there was a Spider-Man marathon, and I put it on VHS. I recorded the whole marathon, and I played it over so many times because I was like, I don't know if I'm ever going to see this again, because it was down in the States, but it was from the 70s, and it was funny because it was, just like the Batman show from 66. The visual effects, they just turned the camera sideways,
Yep,
took it on the wall, and it was like mind-blowing,
Yeah, and they try to trick you with having the celebrities pop out in the Batman series.
That's right. Yep. Oh, so good.
Which I heard was it Kevin Smith was talking about, because he did an homage when he directed the Goldbergs, and he just couldn't wrap his head around how to film these guys popping out of this wall that they're climbing. And then it didn't dawn him when someone said, yeah, they're just laying down and they sit up to make it look like they're at the window. He's like, oh, that is like, that's really all they did.
I mean, he did do Clerks, so I mean, it's not. No, I'm kidding. Clerks is amazing.
Just put the camera on the tripod, and there you go.
Like, come on, you've done Clerks. You can't tell me that you're not.
Yeah, well, he did make that point that he's not the most dynamic filmmaker.
So funny because last night I started rewatching Comic Book Man on AMC.
I re-downloaded those because I thought maybe I'll watch those again.
Yeah, it's on Prime if you have it, and it was amazing. If you remember, the first season they were hour-long episodes, or 40 minutes without commercials, and then they switched to half an hour or 20 minutes. But it was great because you'd see these people bringing all these valuable, heirlooms and drawings and comics, and man, like I wish I could go to some flea market and just find some old hag that's just getting rid of everything, doesn't know what it's worth, and be like, I'll take it off your hands, and just come into these treasures.
That's always the dream, right? You find the Action Comics #1 somewhere.
The hunt, right?
Yeah.
With the Mile High Comics Discovery, just like a warehouse. But they have those things like the U-Haul or storage unit auctions, like you see on TV. They have them around here too, where you can just auction on them. But you could come out with a comic or come out with a Thumbtack. You just don't really know what you're gonna get.
But if it's a Thumbtack from war-torn Germany in 1914.
Das Thumbtack.
Yeah.
it's Das Thumbtack. Das Boot.
Yeah, not the boot, the Thumbtack.
Yeah, but I actually work with a guy at Rogers that does that, or at least pre-COVID would go around and auction or bid on storage units. He actually used to work at the Sens, coincidentally, before my time anyway.
Is Jelly?
David Jelly, yeah, and he goes around and tries to buy these auctioned abandoned storage units. He never finds anything, but I guess one man's treasure, or was it one man's garbage is another man's treasure? So
yeah. Well, there's always that. It's like you're at the casino, right? You're just hoping that one pull of the lever is going to get you that jackpot.
Yeah, kind of like Nick Papagiorgio or Rusty in Vegas Vacation, right?
That is. I said that when we went to Vegas years and years ago, I'd only play a machine if I'm walking and found a quarter, because that's when it was going to be the one that won. It's like, oh, what's this? Let me just play this in there because it's not my dime. And then, here's the jackpot.
I put a quarter into one car. Put a quarter into one car.
That's the dream.
Yeah. Then Mr. Papagiorgio, your regular booth.
It's such a bad movie, but it's also great.
It's so bad that it's good though.
Yeah.
It was made when they shouldn't have reprised their roles because they were just too old at that point. And they just put together this rickety storyline, and but it's so bad that it's good. And I think it was just the nostalgia of European vacation and Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
where like you want this to succeed, you want this to be a good film, and I don't care if they go to Hoover Dam and he climbs up the dam, which is
Where's the
silly at
damn
best.
tour?
Yeah. But the best part of that movie is when he goes to the casino to try and win his money back, and he's playing against it. Okay, pick a hand, or which number am I thinking of, or heads or tails.
Yeah, he's great at all these games. Yeah, playing war.
So good. It's so good. Yeah.
Yeah, that's my feeling with Ghostbusters Afterlife. Since I love the original and the second one. I know a lot of people don't like Ghostbusters too, but it's essentially their first movie, so why don't you love it? So I went in
It's still in the 80s. You have to love it.
Yeah, I went in with the highest of hopes, but also lowest expectations because I knew I was going to love it anyway, and I loved it even more because it actually went a way that I was hoping it was going to go, but it went that way and it went even further. So it was probably the best thing I've seen in the past year. But
Really?
that's just my love of Ghostbusters.
Is
I got
Gozer in it?
Ghostbusters. Yeah.
I'm like, for real?
It's very much continuation of the story of the first two movies.
Oh God, that just like blows my mind even more. I was saying that facetiously, and then
Well, that's all I'm going to say.
And then you paused
a tie. Well, I don't want to say anything, but there is a tie. Yes, to Gozer.
But I was expecting you to say no, and then you paused, and I was like, as soon as that pause happened, I was like, I immediately regret asking this question.
Pause was, do I say?
Yeah.
And I do say.
Oh yeah, I have to watch it. I'm going to though. Is it not so much for Oliver, but for Arlo? Is it frightening, or are there scenes that are scary, or is it more tongue in cheek, slapstickish?
No, I would say it is like the first one. There are scenes in it that are designed to make you jump.
Okay.
But it's not like we have the demon dogs, like you've seen it in the commercials. So the demon dogs play a role just like they did in the first one. And if you think those are scary, then they're just as scary as they are now.
Man, you know what I want to watch right now is I want to watch the Rick Moranis scene with the party in his hotel room, or his.
Okay, who brought the dog?
Yeah, who brought the dog? I want to watch that scene right now, and he's just talking with people. Yeah, he's an accountant, and he does my friends.
I don't know if you know this, but that was all improvised. It was all ad-libbed.
You know what though? I'm not surprised because it's all this that's
yeah. It doesn't.
But that's the Rick Moranis Second City charm. They're all him and Catherine O'Hara and Schitt's Creek, John Candy, all those they're ad-lib, that's what they do. And it's funny because we were just actually watching Best in Show.
I was just gonna say Christopher Guest movies are always the best.
Which they're all it's all ad lib, and
here's your outline of what we're doing, and then go.
That's right. Yeah. This is where the scene starts. This is where the scene ends, and you just have to get from A to B, and everything in between. Just keep it fluid. And we were explaining the concept of ad lib to Oliver, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah." But you appreciate that, right? For you to make, and then there's Waiting for Guffman. There's all those movies where if you know that it's ad lib, then it's hard not to appreciate it even more because of that. The fact that they made a whole movie without really having any script to follow. Easiest paycheck in the world, in my opinion, if you're an actor and a comedian. Yeah,
I always find ad lib. It definitely makes me I always loved hearing that. In Kingpin with the Randy Quaid, Bill Murray movie, is that when the Farrelly brothers that said we gave the script, Bill Murray didn't follow it at all. He just did his own thing, and he said at the end of the day he made this movie better than what it was.
Yeah,
and if you watch it, you can tell that he's just being Bill as Bill can do.
Yeah, I'd love to meet Bill Murray.
Yeah, did you watch that documentary about looking for Bill Murray or finding Bill Murray or something like that?
No. Oh yeah, no, I didn't see it. I forgot about it. I'm gonna have to watch it. But I remember it was from a year or two ago. It's pretty recent.
Yeah, because it was. I think it had to do with like the pandemic or something that they just said like he randomly shows up, so let's go looking for him wherever he is.
Yeah. No, I'll have to. Yeah, I completely forgot about it until you mentioned it, to be honest. But apparently he's the salty earth kind of guy. Like he's like Tom Hanks, right? Goes to ballparks, you know, he goes crashes people's weddings. Like, he's approachable, he's funny, he's honest, he's just down to earth. You know, he's the Tom Hanks. He's just like Tom Hanks. You know?
I like that, but it's also funny to hear that he's like that outside of work, but when it comes to work, he's like least reliable. Like when they talk about how like, making Ghostbusters, like we don't even know if he's in it, and we'll start shooting tomorrow.
Really?
Yeah, I think it was in the movies that made us on Netflix. They do one on Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
They said like we're like ready to go. Bill said he would do it, but never like signed anything. He never. Then it was like we're shooting. He's not here.
He said he's at the O'Hara airport, but we don't know. And
yeah, like he doesn't have an agent. He has like you call this number, leave a message.
Well, his agent was probably one of his brothers because they seem to be always in the same movie together. So,
yeah. Brian's usually in it for sure.
Oh, and Scrooged and Groundhog Day and so many movies. I say so many. I've rained off two.
Caddyshack.
That's right.
I'm sure Stripes. I'm sure he was in Meatballs.
So good. Yeah.
I think we covered everything
for this week, anyway.
For this week, yeah. And, well, until something hits the news tomorrow, or you think it's something you forgot.
I shouldn't say that. Who's gonna die tomorrow? Oh, damn!
You said it.
I did. Hey, listen. You spoiled with Gozer, so I mean, listen.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. No, it was great to be on the show.
Yeah, and you got like a whole show. The last time it was just a segment. You gave it the whole.
You know, what's funny co-host. Is just before we wrap up, I was gonna message you and be like, "So, am I coming into a hot mic situation like like last time? It was like the countdown, and then it's like you're in the show. It's like, whoa."
Yeah, no, I was playing with my video clips that we have there. StreamYard gives you lots of things to play with, so I was like, what is this? And I had the countdown.
Yeah, it was. But last time it was me just like being literally dropped in. You might as well have just had like helicopter sounds, like just dropped in.
And then we booted you too, right after.
All right, and thanks, and see you later. Yeah.
Get out of here.
But honestly, if I am always up for podcasting. I love it. So if you ever need me back or want me back, or
you should plug your old another podcast. The podcast. Listen to some
I haven't done my podcast in a while, so I got nothing to plug.
Well, you got the catalog, the back catalog of episodes.
Yeah, it's
see if there's a baseball season.
Yeah, there's a
so you guys talk about baseball quite a bit.
Yeah, another podcast, the podcast. If it's on any streaming aggregate that you choose to use, I'm sure. But yeah, give it a shot. But we haven't done it in a while, and unfortunately, I don't know that we will get back to it. So that's why, it is what it is. But I am gonna try and get back to the Instagram account. So it's Comics Collector 613. Follow that. I'm going to try and get some photos up. And as I'm saying it, I hope that I gave you the right name. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And it is Comics Collector 613. Boom. Roasted.
Love it.
Yeah, follow me if you can. But thanks for having me, buddy.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for coming on, and we'll have you back for sure.
Anytime, like I said.
Always.
Anyways. Always.
Get you on the Florida Man.
That's it. I can't wait to be a part of that segment, to be honest. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Take her easy.
Yeah. Have a good night.